Hey gamers, what's going on? This is going to be a very short video covering a very important topic. 1080p, 60 frames a second, 2014, why is it not happening? It's a very important topic that us gamers ask all the time. Not everybody has the answer to this, so in this commentary I'm going to be covering some of the questions and answers and why these developers are not releasing these games in 1080p and 60 frames a second. Bear with me and let's begin. Welcome back guys. So to begin this commentary I'm going to answer the most simple question, and that question is, why are we in 2014 and we're still not seeing 1080p games 60 frames a second native on the consoles yet? Why is this so difficult? Why is this such an important topic that everybody talks about and not many people have the answer to? And the simple question is, these big companies like Activision, EA Games, Ubisoft, they are a business. Yeah, they're into releasing games, into making money. They need to reach as many gamers as possible. So they need to produce and port their games as many platforms as possible to sell as many units as humanly possible, right? Because that's what the key is to a business, to a successful business, right? Is to make money. And by them using this method of trying to port their games to as many platforms as humanly possible, for example, like the newly released Watch Dogs, that game looked absolutely spectacular. E3 looked really amazing, and then when it came to release of the game, a lot of players were kind of disappointed in terms of resolution and how that game ran and the way it looked as well as the frame rate as well. It left much to be desired by the gamers. Gamers were really upset because of the downgrades. I mean, you try to compare that to some of the trailers or some of the footage that we saw at E3, and it's two different games. And the main reason why these games are just not looking so spectacular, or they're just not running as well as humanly possible, for example, hitting that 1080p native resolution and 60 frames a second, is because these companies are trying to use this method of porting their games as many platforms as humanly possible. For example, Watch Dogs was released on 6 different platforms. You got the PC, the Xbox One, PS4, PS3, Xbox 360, and the Wii U. And because this is such a major and a very difficult task to actually do, could you imagine the manpower that is needed and required to actually produce a game on 6 different platforms, make them, bug-free and no technical issues, and make sure everything runs fine? I mean, that is very expensive and very difficult as well. As most of you guys noticed already, there's a lot of games that are being delayed to early 2015, and that's because some developers are actually purposely delaying their games to give them time to actually optimize their game engine and just to optimize the game overall performance, to make sure it runs slightly higher resolution, or it's actually meeting the requirements that was promised by them. I'll give you an example of a recent game that was actually delayed on purpose by Bethesda with Wolfenstein. They actually delayed the game to give the developers as much time as humanly possible to actually reach the milestone of 1080p and to make that game run spectacular on both consoles, on the Xbox One and the PS4 as well, to reach that 60 frames a second, and they delayed it by a few months. And look at the results. That game is absolutely spectacular and it runs absolutely amazing. Graphically, it's fantastic and it runs as smooth as humanly possible. Some smaller developers and studios have actually found a way around this by only supporting 3 platforms, for example the PC, the Xbox One and PS4. And that requires a lot less work, I guess, when you're working with the latest hardware as well. It's easier to hit those milestones that you actually create and what the gamers want, the 1080p 60 frames a second. By supporting only 3 platforms, that's a lot less work. It's not as much profit as money as if you supported all the consoles or the last generation consoles as well. As long as developers are trying to support the last generation of consoles, they're never really gonna hit that new milestone of hardware, of how spectacular a game could look, because they're creating these games on an engine which is universal for next gen and old gen, and that will always limit the fidelity and the creative ability of what a developer can do. There's also one important thing that I should mention is about time. Developers haven't really been working with the Xbox One or the PS4 for a really particularly long time. As time goes on, developers will get better at designing games and making games look more spectacular and hit higher resolution, and it gives them time to actually produce new engines to make games look absolutely magnificent. So for now, those exclusive games designed only on one platform are going to look absolutely incredible, and they're going to be much better in terms of fidelity than the multi-platform games. Anyways guys, I hope I answered all your questions. If you have anything to say, use the comment section below. As always, I hope you've enjoyed this commentary. Throw the video a like on your way out, and do subscribe for more gaming related topics like this. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys soon.